I know a lot of Yankee fans are pissed off because that inevitable day happened yesterday afternoon. Brian Cashman met the media. It was the big, hey, Cody Bellinger is coming back Zoom conference. Cody met the media. You may have heard some of the clips earlier today with Boomer and Gio. I've got a few later as well. Aaron Boone spoke to the media. And then Brian Cashman did his thing. And there are a lot of Yankee fans, including one we work with, that is not happy with a particular answer Brian Cashman gave. And here is the setup. Hey, Brian, this is kind of the same team. You're running it back. And Brian Cashman did not agree with that statement, and he elaborated. So, ladies and gentlemen, the general manager of the New York Yankees.
It's not the same roster. I would differ there. We have some players at some point returning from the IL that are, important players. Gerrit Cole being obviously one of them. But we added a lot of weapons at the deadline, and all finding their proper slots, maybe, and how to be utilized and deployed. And also growing pains of competing in the New York arena, getting some exposure to postseason baseball, especially in the American League. I think all that will serve us well. So I disagree. It's the same team running it back. It's going to be some differences, and the competition is going to be different too. In some cases, some teams got better. In other cases, some teams, you could argue, maybe got a little worse. Our division's the best in baseball. But long story short, one series, make or break is not going to define what we think our capabilities are.
Shouldn't he have just said, yeah, it's very similar, but we're going to be better this year?
Right. Well, it's kind of what he said.
But he didn't have to say we had some. Like, he's throwing out all these minor little things that he happened. Some midseason acquisitions from last year going to serve some valuable roles for us this year. Just say, yeah, we're the same team, but we're going to be better because Gerrit Cole's going to be here, because Carlos Rodon will be healthy, because of whatever. It's a year extended for Cody Bellinger in New York. So it just feels different, even though it's the same. That's what he should have said, instead of making it seem like they did a lot, because they didn't do a lot. I don't care how you try to parse it.
You okay over there?
I can't. He somehow took the answer we all knew what was coming and made it worse.
How so?
All right, let's just start here.
Well, you knew they didn't do anything.
All right.
So,
point blank, period, stop. The Yankees, unless you're counting the Rockies reliever that had a 7 ERA, have acquired one player outside of the organization and added it to the upcoming team. One.
Right.
When you do that, and that player, by the way, might be the 6th or 7th starter when your rotation is healthy. When you do that, you are running the same team back. Now, I will agree with him that Gerrit Cole coming back is an enormous boost, but nonetheless, it is not as if the Yankees were racking up World Series championships with Gerrit Cole year in and year out prior to last year. Now, the growing pains, when he said that was the line yesterday that I immediately blew a gasket.
Why?
What the hell is he talking about? Because the guys you acquired or brought in, when you think of growing pains, Bednar was pretty good in the postseason. They didn't go to him in high leverage, but if you actually look, Doval was good in the postseason. Ryan McMahon, I sat there at Yankee Stadium and watched him hit a big home run in the postseason. Cody Bellinger was fine in the postseason. The guys who struggled in the postseason last year, Trent Grisham, he's been here. You brought him back for $20 million. Anthony Volpe, you make a million excuses for. He's coming back. You did nothing to help that in the postseason. You go on and on. Carlos Rodon, when he seemingly spit the bit at times, he's been here year in and year out. So whose growing pains are you talking about? In fact, I could make the argument they got worse, because they lost Evan Williams and Luke Weaver, who also struggled in the postseason last year. But who's to say the bullpen's going to be any better? You did nothing to improve the bullpen beyond that. So, look, you want to tell me the big flashy answer is Gerrit Cole's coming back? Brian, everybody agrees with you. But here's the other problem. We shouldn't be judged on one series in the post because they lost to Toronto.
Right.
It's been 15 years. And the Yankees have had one outlier where they actually got to the World Series, and it happened because they paired two of the top 5 best players in baseball together. They have done nothing to replace Juan Soto since.
Yeah, okay. I knew this day was coming. I knew
we all did.
We were headed to the day where Brian Cashman gets defensive about you're running the same team back, and he tries to describe why they're better. Now, I think you trust me. I'm an IBO in this. I am not a Cashman defender the way Big Mac is. I'm not a Cashman hater, with all due respect, the way you are. But I got to tell you, as much as you don't want to hear it, Brian Cashman's right. Like, he just is.
He just said it wrong. He's. I agree with you, Evan. He's right. He just said it wrong.
Well,
and so the way he says it makes the Yankee fan pissed off.
He may have said it wrong, but also the Yankees are dealing with something very unique. And let me go through what I think is really unique about the Yankees that does make them a different team than last year. Their trade deadline was far different than most teams' trade deadlines. We'll use the Mets as an example. The Mets just rented a bunch of guys. Mm-hmm. They all happen to suck, but they rented them, and they're all gone.
Yes.
It's over. When the Yankees hit the trade deadline, Brian Cashman didn't rent anybody. Every single person he acquired was under control into the future. Bednar's story is not over. Doval's story is not over. Ryan McMahon's story is not over. Jose Caballero's story is not over. And so the Yankees offseason, I'm going to sound like such a company man for the Yankees.
Happened in the middle of last season?
Yes!
Oh, God, Evan.
But, dude, you guys know I'm not. Why would I sit here defending the Yankees? I'm calling it like it is. And I know it's not popular, but their offseason essentially was July 31st because they acquired so many people. And it is unique to acquire that many people at the trade deadline who are actually going to help you beyond. And so opening day a year ago, Jose Caballero wasn't there. Opening day a year ago, Ryan McMahon wasn't there. Think about what your third base situation was. Opening day last year, Gerrit Cole wasn't there. That's an injury-related situation. They're different and they're better, even if their offseason technically didn't add a lot of major leaguers. Where am I wrong?
No, you're not. But let's compare it to the current beast in the East, just because they beat them in the postseason, the Toronto Blue Jays. What did the Blue Jays? I'm talking Raptors because I'm watching the Knicks replay over here. What did the Blue Jays do?
They lost one of their most clutch players in Bo Bichette. You want me to start there?
And then
who wasn't there most of the postseason?
Well, hold on. He had a home run against Shohei Ohtani in Game 7 of the World Series.
Okay.
That was pretty good. And when he was there throughout the Major League season, he was one of their better players, and he was a clutch player who drove in 94 runs. To minimize his loss and say, he wasn't there in the first 2 rounds. Come on, man.
How did Bichette do versus the Yankees in that series Cashman speaks of that had Bednar and Doval and McMahon?
Well, he was injured. He didn't play.
Okay, and they still beat him without. Okay, but carry on.
That's right.
With those same trade deadline acquisitions, you tell me I should go crazy about
I think the Blue Jays improved their rotation clearly.
Yes, Dylan Cease they got right.
We'll see about Okamoto. He's a guy I happen to be high on. But, okay, that's the Blue Jays. We're talking about the Yankees. And I also think that...
But don't you have to position yourself to beat the best team in your division? To win your division? Isn't that what it's about?
Of course.
And so for the Yankees, do you look at them and say, the acquisitions in the middle of last year, now actually your offseason acquisitions, because that's how Evan is positioning this.
No, it's true.
That makes them better than the team that they lost to last year.
Okay.
Is that the case?
No. Oh, I want to answer your question, but it's not going to be as directly as you're asking.
Okay.
So last year, the Toronto Blue Jays won 94 games. The New York Yankees won 94 games. The difference was the Blue Jays beat the crap out of them head-to-head. There's no denying that, whether it's in the postseason or it's the regular season.
Right.
This is now a new year. The Blue Jays have made some changes. The Yankees are different from the start of last year to the start of now. But also, the Blue Jays have a track record because before they lost the 7th game of the World Series, they won 74 games, and this radio station was filled with, they're going to trade Vladimir Guerrero Jr. They are not the surest of things. This core won 74 games 2 years ago. So now all of a sudden, because they have one huge year, that's it. Oh, well, they're better than the Yankees.
Nope.
Is that really fair?
No, it's not fair, but that also gets to the next point. And Cashman references several times just about how difficult the division is. The Boston Red Sox added Suarez to their rotation. They have a bunch of young guys that are also going to get better.
They also lost Alex Bregman. Are we going to leave that part out?
They did lose Alex Bregman.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, yeah. So what? So now their infield finally regresses back to the means that's the Yankees infield, which sucks.
I don't even know what that means. The Red Sox, to most Red Sox fans, got worse because they lost Alex Bregman, despite the additions they made to their rotation.
I expect all those young guys that burst on the scene last year to get better for the Boston Red Sox.
Of course you do, and you expect none of your young guys to contribute because you haven't mentioned Jason Dominguez or Spencer Jones. You haven't mentioned that.
No, well, how about
Aren't
I see
they blocked?
them? Yeah, how about I see them play first, Evan?
Aren't they blocked?
I would
Where
reference.
are they playing?
Potentially.
I would reference the Yankees' young guys playing if I trusted the organization to, play them.
Right. But you know what I trust about the Yankees more than I do Boston and to Toronto? Because it is fair to look at their rosters, look at their off seasons like we're doing and saying who's better. The track record. Like the Yankees' track record is that they are mostly actually better than all of those teams every single year.
Yes.
Last year, the Blue Jays and Yankees finished with the same record. And like I mentioned, no denying it, Toronto kicked the crap out of them head to head. But the year before that, the Yankees were better. The year before that, the Yankees were better. The year before that, the Yankees were better. The Yankees have mostly been better over the course of the last 5 years. So as we preview 2026, I think we at least need to factor in that the Yankees' track record has been better than Toronto and Boston.
All right. I agree. But here's the issue, and this is why Brian Cashman is probably the greatest magician since Houdini, because he can make you all look this way without looking the other way.
Yeah.
We are debating right now about the Yankees in the AL East. You're bringing up points. I'm bringing up points. Tiki's bringing up points. Red Sox here, Blue Jays here.
Yeah.
The problem with the Yankees and the problem with Brian Cashman when he plays this whole, like, we're not running the same team back, this, and this. What are we doing here? Because I don't think there's a Yankee fan out there who's upset with Brian Cashman who also simultaneously doesn't assume they're going to go win 93 games and get to the playoffs.
Right.
The problem with Brian Cashman's assessment of the team is, can we have an offseason here where you're watching teams in the National League? I know we shouldn't worry about them. Leave no doubt. Leave no doubt. Let me enter opening day with the belief that there is no doubt the Yankees should be the favorite in the AL.
The problem with no doubt, Sean, is it is expensive. And it feels like Hal, over the last few years, does not want to spend like that. The Dodgers are trying to create an inevitability.
They're on another
themselves.
planet, Tiki, and we have to accept that.
I agreed, but they can and are willing to do it. Other teams aren't.
Right,
The
no one
Yankees
else is.
aren't.
Not to the level of the
It
Dodgers.
even feels like Steve Cohen is not.
He's not.
So
Okay, but there's ways around this.
How?
The Yankees did not have to offer Trent Grisham this qualifying offer. We could hold on, bear with me.
Trent Grisham's going to have an all-star season.
I hope he does, Tiki. Here's the problem. If the Yankees didn't guarantee that money to Trent Grisham, you don't think they could have, searched under the cushions and made the same deal for Bo Bichette the Mets did?
Probably. I mean, could
Is that not? Is the team better with Dominguez / Jones in that third spot and Grisham and Bo Bichette in the infield?
I was always a Bo Bichette guy for you people, for the Yankees. Okay, so I'm not going to
people.
You Yankee fans, you
gotcha.
crying, complaining Yankee fans.
Just making sure.
So I understand the appeal of Bo Bichette. And yes, the Yankees could technically match any offer they wanted. That's a choice that ownership makes. And I understand that is going to be a major complaint Yankee fans have. They're going to say, Hal didn't spend enough. But if you're asking me realistically, were the New York Yankees ever going to offer Bo Bichette $42 million a year? You know full well what the answer is. No. The answer was no.
Sure.
No. Could they have?
I don't even think on a short-term deal they would have.
No, not on a short-term deal. They weren't going to do it on any circumstances. Right. So we can yell into the wind about Hal spending more money. And people have a right to do it. 888-808-1019. God bless you. But if you're asking me, did I ever think it was realistic that they were going to offer Bo Bichette the contract that the Mets did? The answer is no. And you know that. They weren't going to pay him essentially it's $47 million.
The answer is no based on what they've already did. They also at the deadline.
No. They were never, even if they didn't trade for Ryan McMahon.
That's $16 million locked up like I can't hit.
But they're not investing $47 million on a one-year deal for Bo Bichette. I call me crazy. I don't care what they didn't do.
But that's the problem, Evan. They can. There was ways to do it without exceeding your payroll.
So your issue is Hal then. It's not as much Brian Cashman.
No, well, Cashman also, because he doesn't have a third baseman to begin last year, goes and trades for Ryan McMahon $16 million. All these amounts add up.
He did, but Cabrera got hurt.
Okay.
So it was unfortunate. Sometimes you get stuck in a bind because a young guy that you're counting on doesn't pan out for whatever reason. Either he sucks or he gets hurt. He got hurt.
I know, but I love
Oswalt.
I think
we were okay going into the season last year.
We were okay with his production after. Oswaldo Cabrera's a 10th guy. He's a 10th guy. They went into last year with him as the third baseman, and then they went into panic mode after he got hurt and traded and spent $16 million here. Then Grisham's $20 million here. It's not about, I'm okay with the overall payroll. Cashman's decisions of where he allocates the money all add up, and then it leads to the team not being better here.
Well, this is where we will differ. I understand the disagreement on paying Ryan McMahon that amount of money because I'd agree with you. And I remember when they made that trade, that was the one negative.
Right.
All right, he's making a lot of money next year. You're pretty much locked in at third base. So we can absolutely quibble with the individual moves that this general manager has made. But his overall point is true, as much as some may not want to admit it. As an IBO, as an independent baseball observer, I do think the Yankees are better going into the start of this season than they were the start of last season. I really do. I think there are questions in the bullpen, no doubt about it. I feel uncertain about this bullpen. And they're going to need certain arms that we're not expecting to step up, whether it's the kid they acquired yesterday, whether it's Jake Bird, who they acquired from Colorado months ago, or it's another kid in their system, or it's the Rule 5 draft pick. Like, they're going to need arms to step up. But
Kate Smith.
But their lineup is better going into the start of this season than it was last season. Jason Dominguez is more ready this season. Spencer Jones is a factor this season.
Where are they playing, by the way?
But that's the good thing, Tiki.
I understand it's a good thing.
They have depth. But why is that bad?
It's not bad, but it's also it's an unfulfilled eagerness to see these people. It's just never going to happen.
Okay, I'll answer your question then. Where are we going to see him? And I love this kind of thing about baseball. When you have
Third base.
No, not third base.
Spot, third base.
We saw Dominguez taking grounders.
We saw Dominguez taking grounders in the postseason.
I know.
Third base.
They'll never forget
Surprise, shock.
Giancarlo Stanton, I got a newsflash for you, is not going to play every single day, which allows Aaron Judge to DH or Jason Dominguez to DH. I got another one for you. Ben Rice needs to hit lefties. And if he doesn't, Ben Rice may sit against lefties, which may lead to Cody Bellinger, who masters lefties, playing first base, which opens up a spot in the outfield. I got another one for you. Sean Morash thinks Trent Grisham sucks.
I didn't say that.
You basically did. If Trent Grisham struggles, I don't care how much money he's making, that's an opportunity. So I think the beauty of baseball is when you have too many players, if you perform, it'll take care of itself.
Yeah.
Third base is much better today than it was a year ago. Even shortstop, because you're not force-feeding Anthony Volpe down our throats.
Oh, you will be.
Not yet, at least not early.